morning, time being 9 a.m. on June 16, 2026. I'd like to call the meeting of the Pasco County Mosquito Control District Board of Commissioners to order. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Commissioner Adams, lead us.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Evans here.
Abbott present.
Cox is here.
Executive Director Rogers present.
All right, entertain a motion to approve our agenda.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion. Any discussion?
None.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public comments. All right, members of the public are welcome to address the Board of Commissioners on any agenda item or other district-related business during this time. Speakers are allotted 3 minutes to speak, while those representing an organization are given 5 minutes. All speakers must identify themselves before speaking by stating their name and whether they live within the district for the record. Behavior that disrupts the board meeting, any type of yelling, clapping, booing, loud noises is strictly prohibited. We ask that you respect everyone present, and I reserve the right that if you do not, to ask you to leave the room. All right, first person is Shannon Holmes. Welcome.
Good morning, Board. My name's Shannon Holm. I live at 11017 Pennygale Loop, San Antonio, Florida. I'm currently a candidate for seat 2 of the Mosquito Control Board. I wanted to address the board on 2 quick issues. The first being the recent warning that the district received from the state for the failure to follow label directions. I was hoping we'd hear sometime during this meeting some sort of plan to prevent these things in the future. It looks like the offense happened back in October of 2024, which was shortly after the financial issues that the board had with their previous budget. And I want to read a quote from the May 7th, 2024 Tampa Bay Times. "We need to learn from our mistakes and not repeat them. I hope that our staff learns from this, and I will review things much more closely in the future." And that's from Chairman Cox. And a couple months later, we had another issue where another state agency is investigating the Mosquito Control Board. So I'd like to hear how we're going to address these issues so that we're not running into more violations. And also, I'd like to hear at some point with the potential the potential ballot initiative for potentially eliminating some of the property taxes, what the plans would be of the board going forward if that ended up passing and the revenues were drastically reduced. I thank you very much for your time. Have a good day.
Thank you. All right, next individual up is John Cook.
Good morning. I just want to say congratulations on the anniversary. I wish I could have been here to see that. That would have been nice. That is amazing. I remember when it was just a hole in the wall on Washington Street off 19. Jesus. Too bad it's not, all of this isn't in a new facility already, which we know how I feel about that. I'm concerned about what's going to happen if that does go through with the state about the homeowners, property taxes going away. I'd like to know how that's going to affect mosquito control. Will they have to lay off, or what's going to happen? Because I think it's going to have an impact. I mean, people have to understand that mosquito control is so important. You know, I still tell people more people die from mosquito bites every year than anything else, and they're always amazed. So, but you and Maria and everything, you guys do tell the public about it. I mean, with going to the schools and everything, getting kids to learn that stuff. That's all important stuff. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
All right, Kathy Julian.
Good morning. I have so many things I wanted to talk to you guys about this morning. Some of them have already been covered, so I won't bother with them.
Kathy, are you a resident of Pasco County?
Yes, of course. Haven't moved in the past 30 days. Shoot, screw this up, waste my time. Anyway, there was some discussion on my Facebook page last night about the budget and how that would affect everything. And somebody made a really good point. People say that we need to have an independent district because it's so much more efficient or whatever, which I'm not really sure what the statistics are on all of that, but I know there are 67 counties in Florida and only 15 of them have special districts for mosquito control. I know it's extremely more expensive to do the mosquito control by special district. So I think we should really be looking at our cost structure at this district. We have some of the highest paid employees in the county working here. The other thing I wanted to mention is I filed 3 records requests, and I know you guys think I do excessive record requests, but this was a new tactic that I hadn't seen done before, where you took 3 records requests and combined them into one, so that you could send me a bill for $921 to get those records requests. Well, right now I'm working on too many other things to really follow up on that, but I did want to request that you go ahead and fulfill number 8, which is a quarter of an hour at the director's time of $123.45 per hour. And then I'd also like to have record request, the item number 1 on here, which was from a different request that I filed, which is a quarter of an hour of the community engagement coordinator, who only makes $45.05 an hour. So I would like those to fulfill. I was gonna mention the warning letter from the state, but that doesn't really, I don't really need to do that since somebody else has covered that. I would like to say that I have had the opportunity to meet and speak with both of the gentlemen that are running for mosquito control, and I think they'd both be really good replacements. And, you know, Mr. Abbott, congratulations on qualifying for running for state commissioner. I actually live in your district, so who knows? I could end up being your supporter. You never know. Would that be ironic? I don't know if you know that you met my husband. You told him your whole life story, so I understand a little bit more about your life.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Any other public comment? New business. Item number 1 is architectural service firm selection. Adrian?
Thank you, Chairman. Provide an update on the procurement process for professional architectural services associated with the district's deferred maintenance, campus renovation, and facility improvement project, and present the selection committee's recommendation to the board for consideration. As a reminder, the solicitation for professional architectural services was publicly advertised and released on March 22nd, 2026. Responses were due on May 5th, 2026, and the district received 6 responsive submissions to that solicitation. Our selection committee met on May 28th, 2026 to evaluate and rank the written proposals in accordance with the criteria outlined in the solicitation package. Following discussion and scoring, the committee recommended advancing the top 3 highest ranking firms to the interview phase for oral presentations to the selection committee. Those oral presentations were conducted on June 12th, 2026. Following presentations and committee deliberation, the selection committee completed final rankings and identified PBK Architects as the highest ranked firm based on the overall evaluation of the written proposals from the firm and staff, regarding their firm and staff qualifications, their project approach, their experience, and the interview performance for that oral response. Accordingly, staff is bringing forward to you today the committee's recommendation and requesting board approval to authorize me to move forward with PBK Architects in negotiating the terms of the contract, specifically the rates. They do already have the contract, so the contract went out with the solicitation, as you'll remember, as PBK was the top ranked firm. I do want to clarify that this action is not approval of the final architectural agreement. This is merely to discuss the conditions that were included in that original solicitation package, and that the firms responded to, and really the only thing up for negotiation is the primary focus would be the professional services fees, establishment, and negotiation of the not-to-exceed amount. So, if approved, we would work collaboratively with our owner's rep and Vision Advisors to negotiate the fees for that contract.
All right. Questions from the board?
I have a few comments. First of all, I think I want to thank all those that did submit for this. I found all of them to be quality architectural firms, and I concur with your findings of PDK. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
You're good? Okay. No, I'm fine. I did my review of the process and also of the people who submitted. So I concur with what you all decided. I think you did a great job in doing that. I know I threw a wrench in the process last year. I apologize for that, but, bottom line is,
Apology accepted.
we did this correctly. We did this correctly, which is what I'm concerned about. So, entertain a motion.
Motion to approve PBK as our architecture firm for,
If I can clarify the motion?
yes.
To negotiate.
The motion should be for staff to negotiate with PBK as the highest ranking firm, their fees, to then come back and present to the board for final approval.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
I
that's the
like the way
motion.
she restated it.
Okay, that's the motion.
That's the motion.
Let the record reflect that Commissioner Evans moved the motion forward. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Now, before we move on, one,
they
I
here?
want to thank,
Yeah.
oh, I'm sorry.
Is PBK here?
They're here.
Yes, we do have a
Okay,
representative.
okay. Could you just introduce yourself real quick?
Sure, Amy Bradlow, PDK Architects. We really appreciate the opportunity and we're looking forward to working with you all.
Yep, us too. Well, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
And before we move on, first, I just want to thank again and publicly my staff, those involved on the selection committee for doing it, having to do it a second time around since Chairman Cox threw a wrench in the plans, but appreciate your continued efforts and thorough review of proposals, so.
Details. I'm sorry.
Also, though, because I think it does impact the discussion on fee, before we initiate those negotiations, I'm requesting direction from the board on preferred construction delivery method, because that does have an impact on the architectural scope and pricing. Depending on the stage, the direction we take that, that could influence the fee that ultimately I'll be negotiating. So at this stage, I think there's essentially two practical options for the district to consider, and I do have some guidance on, or description on each one of the 4 delivery methods, one of which is no longer an option since we went the route of architectural firm selection to then move forward, that being the design, bid, build, yes.
Design, build.
Design, build, thank you.
Yeah.
So that is one of the traditional methods, which, unless we want to completely negate the last 2 years now of work from the selection committee.
I wouldn't do that
I
to
would
you.
not recommend that as an option, but we do have essentially two options. The
Okay.
design, bid, build, traditional method where architect completes a full set of design documents, and I'm sure that our owner's advisor could better articulate and more thoroughly articulate some of this. So Jonathan, please feel free to jump in if I'm not getting all of the pros and cons of each. And Attorney Donaldson is online as well, so she can certainly chime in. But just to give you some highlights of the two for consideration that I would be recommending. Option one, design bid build, and then the construction manager at risk, CMAR. So the traditional delivery method of design bid build. Architect completes full set of architectural design documents, then the project is publicly bid at that time, and then a construction contractor is selected after the complete design process. Is that accurate? Thank you. So I think, some considerations for that method. Some benefits to that method are that it's a very familiar and widely used, a straightforward procurement process. Competitive pricing you get through the public bidding process, of course. Clear separation between the designer and the contractor, which I think is more of a consideration than necessarily a distinct benefit. The construction expertise enters later in the process. You don't have their input at the front end. There's a greater likelihood of redesign, change orders, if constructability issues are identified after the design is complete. The project timeline overall is potentially longer because you don't have that input from the construction team at the front end of design. Less opportunity to align the design decisions with real-time market pricing. And so I think this is the big distinction for negotiating the fees. The architectural firms, all of the ones that we interviewed, had a third party that would come in as a cost estimator to provide that real-time estimation for costs throughout the project. If you go the CMAR route, having that construction piece, that element in the design process early on would eliminate the need to have the architect add that to their fee scope. So that is the design bid build. The construction manager at risk, CMAR. Under CMAR, the district would procure a construction manager earlier in the process, which would then join the team alongside of the architect, firm, owner's rep, and the district during the design development. Construction manager at that point would provide constructability review, scheduling input, cost estimating and the budget value validation, coordination with subcontractors and market conditions. So I think there's there's more input that is using this method on what those subcontractors would be. There's guaranteed maximum price development later in the design phase. So some additional benefits for CMAR include early contractor engagement and collaboration. You have that input from the additional party very early on. Improves cost certainty and budget management. The idea is that if you have them in the design phase, you reduce the potential for redesign and change orders on the back end. Better coordination between the design and construction teams. Potential reduction in those unforeseen circumstances that would, cause you to have redesign or change order potential. Ability to identify issues earlier when corrections are less expensive than doing it at the back end. Opportunity to maintain schedule and improve project delivery efficiency. Considerations on this methodology: there is potentially a higher pre-construction cost because you are paying for the contractor's involvement earlier on in the process. But again, you have to, the risk is, do you pay for it a little bit more in the pre-construction, or do you pay for it in terms of redesign and change orders at the back end? Requires early commitment to a collaborative delivery method. So we really, if we're going to go that route, we need to decide very soon so that we can get that procurement underway. Did I miss anything? Benefits or pros?
Jonathan Moore, Vision Advisors, your owner's representative. Director Rogers was right, and the tone moving towards CM at risk, which is a fee-based, so a general contractor or construction manager would present a fee after a qualifications-based selection process. Creates a more collaborative exploration, especially since we're dealing with a lot of existing facilities that will need perhaps selective demolition, opening up ceilings for our structural engineer. All of our architects brought it up during the shortlist interviews that it is the preferred method. 90% of our projects right now are being delivered with a CM at risk. When you go to design, bid, build, or hard bid, you're really leaving that construction professional out until the end. And there's more potential for surprises. Oh, gee golly, I wish we would have known that during design. Maybe we would have only drawn it once. Now we have to go back and change something. Our opinion is construction manager at risk is a more appropriate form of delivery for this type of project. It is something that can start relatively quickly with the request for qualifications, so that our architect and engineering team is not sort of designing by themselves without someone pricing it as they go along.
So, CM at risk seems to also maybe curtail some of the surprises, like you said, that would be more costly. And that's what I'm looking at, is saving the tax dollars.
Yeah, we do find, while some people think that, oh, it's probably more expensive to go that route because, there's no cost until the end and you've already selected them, but the truth is, they're bidding out all of the subcontracts. They're getting, at least 3 bids in the masonry, 3 bids in the electricals, and we get to see all of those. They're open book. We can talk about them. We could say, why is this electrical so high? Is there anything we could do about it? So I find that while hard bid and taking the lowest bidder and holding their feet to the fire on their bid does have the potential to save money, the combination of quality and cost efficiency is greater on the CM at risk side.
And PBK, you like the CM at risk?
Yes, first of all, I'd
Give
like to
us your
say,
name for the record, please.
Amy Bradlow with PDK Architects. We're happy to go with whichever method you choose. We're doing both right now. But in this case, where you have existing facilities with potential for unforeseen conditions, and I would say even more importantly, the fact that you will need to stay in operation throughout construction, I would say that CM at risk would be the preferred method. It would be beneficial to be able to collaborate with them, talk about, phasing, construction logistics, to try to come up with the best plan that works for you all.
Have you ever worked with Jonathan before?
Yes.
Okay. All right, good. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Abbott, anything?
No.
Okay, so I have a couple questions. Just number one, just for purpose of this document, so you have GMP, guaranteed maximum price, correct? It's not defined in there, but that's
Oh,
what
yes,
that means,
guaranteed
right?
maximum price.
Yeah, okay. All right. So design, bid, build. One of the biggest concerns I've seen, and I've witnessed this in other projects that I've seen, is the disputes between the architect and the contractor. They'll point their finger at each other. So I think we reduce that by going to the construction manager at risk. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. But one of the challenges listed under is construction manager at risk is potential conflicts of interest. So what does that look like?
I don't know what those conflicts would be, other than
That's why I'm
if
asking the
you're.
question.
I apologize, I haven't seen that document, but if you're.
If I can just clarify where
Yes,
this is, this is
yeah.
from Attorney Donaldson. Provided it last night after a conversation she and I had, so I know she is on the line. I think she may be muted, but if she has anything else that she would like to add. One thing that she just sent me, the CMAR gives the guaranteed maximum price that the board has to approve, so that's an
Right, I
additional
see that.
safeguard.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
I see that.
So I apologize, I didn't mean to.
Early
step
on in the,
Guideline that we're looking at.
thank you very much,
Uh-huh.
in the design process, if the CM at risk brings a subcontractor to help with budgeting, and then that subcontractor is involved with the final pricing, I don't know why that would be a conflict. They know the project, they helped the project early to set some budget numbers, say, you know, we need to bring an air conditioning sub in to help us figure out some options. The truth is, they know the project better than anybody else. I guess I'd look to legal to find out if that is a conflict or not. In my world, I don't think it's a conflict, but.
Okay. So Attorney Donaldson, could you answer the question, why is the construction manager at risk, one of the challenges being a potential conflict of interest?
You might be having an issue with the audio. Hold on one moment.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, sorry.
You got memorized.
There is a potential conflict just because the CMAR is part of the design or the improvements being designed and determined. And so that there could be just kind of a conflict between the two entities at that point. I will tell you, because I have a lot of clients going to CMAR, CMAR is definitely the better route than design build, which for design build, the architect works for the contractor, which I just think at that point, the loyalty of the architect is to the contractor, not to the district. It's the CMAR, they're but there's just kind of that inherent conflict of interest because the CMAR, as the project is being built, the CMAR is giving estimated costs generally at 30%, 60%, and then 90% is when they give the guaranteed maximum price. It's not a big deal, it's just more of a, that's one of the potential challenges.
Okay.
And every delivery process has positives and challenges. As they both said, the CMAR, the advantage is you get value engineering with having your engineer at the table or your contractor at the table early on. They can point out, hey, we could do this cheaper, that you might want to do it this way. And so ultimately, you do pay more because they're on the front end with the pre-construction services, but that should save you money long-term. And then obviously if you approve, then moving forward, once they give you the DMP, then they already know the project. It's a very short lead time at that point.
Okay. Refresh my memory, what process were we using when we were contemplating the campus? Because we did do a soft bid to try to come up with some estimates.
We did. That project was recommended to go hard bid, design, bid, build.
Okay. And then, so.
That recommendation came from the architect, if I'm
Right.
not mistaken.
Yeah, no, it did, I remember that. So the progressive design build, just elaborate on that a little bit, that's a little bit of a new terminology for me.
I don't know what
turn
that is.
To Attorney Donaldson.
I can talk about it. So basically, it's kind of a mixture of the design build and a CMAR effectively, where the contractor, the architect works for them or engineer works for them. And it's broken up in phases where there's the pre-construction, and then at some point they do give a guaranteed maximum price, which is why it's similar to the CMAR. So you just have phases in a progressive design build where generally with a regular traditional design build, you hire them and it's a go from the beginning. There's a design criteria package, they give you what the price is going to be. There's no like go, no go in the middle of it, whereas a progressive design build, there's a go, no go. In this scenario, because the district just hired the architect, really the two options that would make sense for the district would either be the traditional process, which is design, bid, build, or the CMAR. Because you've hired the architect, and so you don't want to hire an architect and then have the contractor also hire the architect, because then you're paying a lot of money for two architects.
You know, that's like having two attorneys. I mean, one's enough.
Well, thank you.
Well, and we got a good one, so there you go.
was a backhanded compliment.
All right, what's the board's pleasure? Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
You want a motion
I,
on it? Yep.
yes, I'd
Yeah,
like some
I agree.
direction so
I
that we
agree.
can move forward with
Okay.
building the procurement document.
Gentlemen, which way are we going?
Seems like construction manager at risk is the golden goose as far as our concerns go.
I agree. Is that in the form of a motion?
I'll make a motion unless Mr. Abbott has a comment.
You go ahead, we're surrounded by the experts, so okay, you go ahead.
Therefore, make a motion that we go with this construction manager at risk.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion?
None?
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, is that enough for that?
That is all I have for that
Okay.
item, yes, thank you.
All right, 2026 board meeting calendar.
Yes, you'll notice that we are still yet to schedule our September budget hearings and the regularly scheduled board meeting. We should be able to do that at the July meeting. As a reminder, we have to wait until the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners and the Pasco County School Board set their budget hearing dates based on statute language, and their meeting dates have not yet been scheduled as of yesterday. So we must wait until they schedule theirs so that we don't conflict with their meetings. So we will have this agenda come back again next month. However, I do have a request for meeting change for the currently scheduled November board meeting. The meeting currently scheduled for November 10th falls within the FMCA's annual meeting, so I'm looking for options to move that meeting date.
When is the FMCA annual meeting till? Is it the whole week of
It is
the 10th through the 12th?
9th through the 12th.
9th through the 12th. I can go the week before or the week after it appears.
So the 3rd is election day.
3rd is election day.
So,
Are we talking November now?
November.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, November.
So
Yeah.
the 17th
17th works for me.
works for me as well.
So we're talking November.
November,
This-
yes.
Okay. Well, I was gonna bring it up later, but I should bring it up now. Hopefully all of you got my resignation letter. And under, as you know, the resign to run law, you have to resign from public office to run for another public office.
Yeah. So you won't.
And my
You're done on the
resignation
3rd.
date would be November 3rd.
Yeah.
So I certainly would like to fulfill my term, but potentially that would be less the December meeting, and if you all are able to, possibly we'd wrap it up with the November meeting. So
Second
that's just wondering, yeah, if we could do November the 2nd.
That's fine with me.
works for me.
Yep.
Okay.
The consideration, just so that you're aware, if we do move the meeting to the 2nd, we will not have the financials closed out for the prior month of October yet.
Okay.
What?
So.
You got 2
The credit
days.
card statement doesn't come
Credit
out to the
card's
5th of the
coming to the
month.
4th, 5th, so.
So we would not have that closed out.
Okay.
But
big of a
statutorily,
deal.
and Attorney Donaldson, you can correct me if this is inaccurate, but statutorily, it's defined that we meet once per month. It does not say when, it does not define the exact items to be approved each month.
Other
So
than
I'm
September.
other than the budget hearings that have to be done by a certain date, correct? So, if you're okay with that, that would mean that we would be approving both the October month end and November month end financials at the December board meeting.
I'm fine with it.
Fine with me. It will still have a majority.
And that also would be acceptable for the shoring up the year end, fiscal year end. On the DAC side, we would still remain in compliance, we can do that amendment to the budget anytime after the start of the fiscal year, so we have flexibility there.
Okay, so we're gonna change the meeting from the 10th of November to the 2nd?
Good with me.
Is that-
Everybody else?
Fine with me.
All
Yeah,
right,
that's
do that
my
real
schedule.
quick before I
We
forget.
send out updates.
We will send out updates for November 2nd.
Okay, next.
All right.
Anything else on that item?
Nothing else on that item at this time for me.
Okay, seasonal work schedule.
Okay, Chairman, Commissioners, the next item before you for consideration is seasonal alternative work schedule pilot program and related amendment to the employee handbook regarding work schedules and hours of operation. This item is being presented to you all as an operational initiative intended to help improve service delivery and increase our field efficiency during the district's peak mosquito season. As the board is aware, our summer months represent the highest operational demand period we have for the calendar year. During that time, our staff performed expanded surveillance activities, increased mosquito treatments, complaint response, source reduction efforts, field operations throughout all areas of the county and thus our jurisdiction. We're continuously trying to evaluate opportunities for improving efficiencies and maximize service delivery using our legacy resources, and this proposal before you today is intended to support that objective. You did receive some information in your board packet regarding this. The recommendation before you would be to implement a seasonal pilot program through October 31st, which is coinciding with daylight savings time, and hurricane season, which of course you all know is our peak mosquito season as well. We would have designated operational positions utilizing this staggered schedule, starting as early as 6 a.m. and going till 5 p.m. with employees assigned either a Monday through Thursday or Thursday through Friday schedules. It would be split so that we have continuous coverage Monday through Friday as we currently operate. I do want to emphasize a couple of important points as you're considering this. This proposal does not reduce employee work hours at all. It would still be a 40-hour week. Employees will continue to work that schedule, that total hours per week with no increases in our staffing levels or compensation associated with this pilot program. Last year, if you recall, we increased the potential for overtime during our peak season because we're trying to get more coverage throughout the day as we're already mobilized. So this would eliminate the need for that overtime pay. Second, this proposal does not reduce public access to us and our team, our staff in general. In fact, through this staggered scheduling, the district will continue operating Monday through Friday, but will actually expand the hours operationally that we have personnel available each of those 5 days per week. Under our current schedule, our field operations generally occur between 7 a.m. and 3:30. So this again would expand those daily operational times. So overall, expanding the operational time available and access to our team. Additionally, this is intended to increase productive field time. So because our work occurs across a very large geographic area, we've talked ad nauseum in the past about the travel time it takes to get to the four corners of our county. A portion of each day spent mobilizing, traveling with that commute just to get to the first inspection site, returning back to the facility, so having to be so early to make it to complete records, service equipment, prepare for the next day before our 3:30 current end time. Longer field days would allow employees to remain in the field longer before having to return, increasing the opportunity to complete additional inspections during that time, surveillance activities, additional treatments during those daytime shifts. So operationally allows us to increase the treatment capacity for each one of those individuals in the field, making better use of our existing personnel and within our existing resources. And of course, it also better aligns with mosquito activity patterns, beginning field activities, starting at the office at 6 a.m., places personnel in the field, ready to go, closer to dawn, which is, of course, as you know, one of the most active periods for most mosquito species to be flying and very active. So, important time for surveillance observations as well as effective treatment operations. So
Your memo and everything in here was really thorough, so I appreciate that. So I have a question. I asked you this question. I want to ask Nick the question. What do the employees think about this potential change?
So
Since
they've
you're out
been-
there working with them.
They've been asking for it for a while.
Okay.
Surrounding counties do the same thing at this time of year, go to 410s, so it's gonna be welcome. I didn't really announce it yet to everyone, I just talked to the individual department heads to see if it would work for them operationally, and they're all on board. Like she said, some will work 6 to 4, some 7 to 5, depending on the, what works for them operationally, but everything matches up. We won't miss anything, it won't be overlapping anything, it's just gonna be longer days for everyone, and then, it won't change the way we operate.
I mean, to me, it makes sense, and that, you hit the nail on the head. We're expanding hours of operation, so that's good. Board?
Well, I guess Nick kind of answered my question. I was wondering, does anyone else do this program, and how well does it work?
Yeah, I know Hillsborough does it, Polk does it, I'm not I think Citrus just changed to that too, I believe.
Citrus has been on that
For-
but actually they're not open on Fridays at all, so they're only Monday through Thursday.
Lee County does it, so we've got quite a few
South Carolina.
that does it.
There are a number that do. Some of them are just Monday through Thursday, but that's not what we're proposing. We're proposing to remain Monday through Friday. And I think it's important to have that coverage for 5 out of the 7 days in a calendar week, but it would just be staggered.
And my other question was about the employees, how are they gonna receive this if they're happy about it, and it seems like they all are?
Yeah, they've asked, like, why don't we, they hear, they go to DOT and they're like, this county works 410s, it's like, why can't we do that? Like,
So
that's-
has anyone given you any pushback whatsoever? 1 or 2 employees said, it
Not
doesn't
yet.
work for me?
I mean, I'm sure there'll be some personal changes that they have to make, waking up early, maybe daycare, whatever they have to adjust, which I already talked to Jose on start date of this, if it gets approved, giving them enough time to get their affairs in order to switch their schedule up.
My only concern is, if they got kids that gotta put on a
Right.
bus or something, obviously you're gonna make arrangements for that.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm for it. I think it's a smart way to go.
Now, the intent, especially because this is just a pilot program, and we're asking to start this, as soon as the next payroll cycle, potentially, if you all move forward with it, understanding that that's not a whole lot of time for the employees to make adjustments. The intent is not to put additional burden on the staff, of course. So we're gonna remain flexible and working with individuals on the schedule that is gonna work best for the employee as well as the district to get the coverage that we're desiring to achieve. And so we are, if you approve us to move forward, we'll work out those remaining details. And the last thing I'll highlight, I know it's in the packet, but I don't know that I said it yet in my brief here today. This would not be for all positions. There are positions where it doesn't make sense, to have, to be making people aren't calling us at 6 a.m. So, certain administrative positions, we're not going to switch to the schedule. It's going to remain a Monday through Friday at the normal operating hours that we've had. So, this is for certain certain positions where it operationally makes sense to improve efficiency and operational output in the field.
It makes sense to me.
Well, and says here that, you're gonna take some empirical data and figure out, did it work or not? So to me, it's 2 thumbs up. I think it's great.
The aerial program remains as is, or any difference on aerial?
So, again, we're still working out the final details. But just the preliminary discussions with the department heads have ensued up till this point, so, we'll make sure that all of this is considered when we go down to the each individual, position level.
Okay. As Randy said, I think it's maybe even 3 thumbs up. It certainly is,
Make a
I think,
motion,
good.
please.
If you look from the customer service perspective, from the eyes of our customers, I mean, it's certainly better, especially since we're located in the wrong position to service the east side of the county. Now we can get people out there without wasting so much time in traffic and actually be on the ground servicing the customers. And the other thing, as you pointed out, getting those skeeters at sunrise is really good. And again, it's a seasonal program, so we're doing it, at our peak times, so anyway, I'm certainly for it. So I make a motion that we approve the seasonal alternative work schedule for this year, and certainly run through the evaluation process while we're doing that.
Sounds good.
All right, so we have a motion. Is there any further discussion on that motion?
No.
Part of this would also include amending the language, and that you saw
Oh,
the
right.
language, so if you
To
could include that in your motion,
Right.
that would be helpful.
Also include an update to the HR manual.
Okay, so we have a motion before us to approve the seasonal work schedule to include the amendment to the employee handbook. Any further discussion?
None?
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, unfinished business.
Very much.
Fiscal year 2026-27 budget. Hard to believe that we are,
Yeah.
27 is right around the corner.
Indeed. So you have presented an updated draft of fiscal year 2027 budget in request for approval to submit our preliminary report to DAX, a detailed work plan budget for July 15th. You have it in front of you now because July 15th is actually going to occur before our next scheduled board meeting. So what you have in this draft budget presented, the numbers using our existing millage, because we do not yet have the information from property appraiser's office for rollback rates. So I want to emphasize that this is not today's action, should you move this forward, is not an adoption of a millage rate or a final budget. This is merely giving us the direction we need to further refine our budgeting process throughout the summer, but satisfying our requirement to Department of Agriculture to submit our preliminary budget by the 15th of July.
Okay, so just a couple questions. How much longer do we have on the helicopter payments? I know obviously we have a payment this coming year, but I'm just trying to get in my head how much longer we have. It's a 10-year term, right?
Right, I think we have 5 years left.
5 years.
I'll have to check.
We'll confirm that in
Correct.
maybe
Might-
6 or
correct.
7. Yeah.
What did
We'll-
Wayne
We
say?
can get back to you.
Five-ish?
Thinking it's.
Okay.
7 year.
Do you think we have 7
No,
years?
no, the total.
We're
Total
in
was-
7,
Correct.
the 7th year.
Oh, hold it.
I think it was a total of 7
You know,
years.
the note was not
10
10 years.
Oh, it wasn't?
No,
Oh, okay.
10-year note, at
Oh, okay,
1.6%. Yeah.
So we will get back to you on that.
All right,
if you need the
I'm trying to
exact
think
years, yes.
several budget years from now. Then the other item that I have is, so I guess this is probably for Attorney Donaldson, is when do we anticipate the final sale of the surplus property?
Mr. Chair, that should be closed in December at the latest.
December.
So it should be the upcoming fiscal year.
Right, okay. So my point of that is, that's what I thought, so that money needs to get inputted into the budget as a potential revenue, so.
Well, when you say.
That's all I have, really.
Right. Well, when you say that, how do we put ourselves at risk if we do that? Because, commercial pieces of property in closing sometimes, fall apart, so.
Well, if the sale doesn't occur,
Uh-huh.
then obviously neither do the expenditures or anything that goes against that. I mean, that money potentially gonna be used for renovations here, right?
Right.
So, I'm just saying, we're anticipating a revenue source coming in, it needs to be in the budget, the same way we anticipate ad valorem taxes to come in at a certain rate.
Uh-huh.
If they come in more, then you have surplus revenue. If they come in less, you have a deficit in revenue.
That's a good point. What are your thoughts on that, Jose?
I think it should be included, but it does have a risk of
Uh-huh.
not closing, and then we are scrambling to adjust the budget for whatever the closing price was, right? So,
All right,
but I agree, it should be accounted for next year.
okay.
I mean, it's gonna be allocated to go into the reserve funds, right? So it wouldn't go into reserve funds.
Correct.
So,
Or capital outlay.
or capital outlay. But, the chances are that we are not gonna be at that point a year from now for that, using those dollars. I mean, we may be spending current dollars that we have, right, but not potentially
Correct.
those.
So that's a discussion to have, because if we put it on the reserve, then we can't touch it at all, right? So I would feel more comfortable to put it just on the capital outlay and manage it properly, just in case we do have an outlier where we need a cash for anything else.
Right, just as long as it gets put into,
Correct.
the prime, so that we're earning. a
Of
better-
course, correct.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I have.
We can add that to the July draft.
Okay. Do you need a motion?
No, not to continue with this forward, it's just
Okay.
signing the document.
Okay, all right. Next item under general information, director's report, district operations.
As it was already brought up earlier in today's meeting and just a continuation of prior discussions, I want to briefly acknowledge that staff continues to monitor ongoing discussions at the state level regarding potential property tax reform and the constitutional amendment proposals that
Just
could.
speak up a little bit more.
Yes, that could impact our local government revenues, because the district is an independent special taxing district funded almost exclusively through ad valorem revenue. Any changes to the homestead exemption, as are proposed in the constitutional amendment, to the taxable value calculations, the broader property tax structure, could have implications for future district revenue and our long-term financial planning, of course. At this stage, there are several unknowns, prime among them being that the proposed constitutional amendment still requires voter approval, 60% to pass in November. So we don't have details on the implementation timing, as another example, if it is approved. And so staff, at this time, we're not recommending any major budget adjustments based on those unknowns and mere speculation at this time. We do know, however, that based on the data provided from the Pasco County Property Appraiser's Office, that the first phase of the proposal, if approved by voters in November, would increase the homestead exemption to $150,000, which would result in a $2.7 million reduction in our budget using current numbers. Phase 2 of the amendment, if approved, would result in an increase to the homestead exemption to $250,000, which would result in a $4.2 million reduction in the district's revenue, again, based on current numbers. And this is all provided from the Pasco County property appraiser's office. A reduction of that amount could have potential significance to the district's ability to sustain our service levels and long-term infrastructure planning, our ability to protect public health in our community. We will continue tracking these developments, coordinating with our professional associations who are also keeping a close watch, our local partners, our attorney, and of course we'll continue to update the board as any additional information becomes available. So for today's discussion and this year's budget discussion, the draft budget that you saw today, it does not include, or it shouldn't be interpreted as including any assumed impacts associated with the pending tax reform, right? Because there are still so many unknowns. So again, as a reminder, what you saw presented today is using current millage. We don't have the rollback rate yet, so by July we will have that number, and then we can further discussions on what we intend to do for millage for next year's budget, and then any additional concerns or considerations that come up between now and the July meeting, of course, on the constitutional amendment front will be presented.
Can I interrupt real quick? What was our cap for millage rate increase?
So
Either the self-imposed or by?
As a special, as an independent taxing district in Mosquito Control, we have a cap of 1 mil.
1 mil?
Statutorily, yes.
Okay.
Currently, we are at 0.2091 mil. And to reach that cap would require a unanimous vote from the board. So, I mean, in theory, that is a potential. Again, at this time, I'm certainly not recommending that, but just for consideration and item for discussion so that you have all of the information, that is the cap, 1 mil, and it would require a unanimous vote from our board.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Additional items, helicopter maintenance update. I want to provide a brief update on the helicopter fleet maintenance schedule. We've previously talked on at prior meetings earlier this year. As a reminder, we had initiated this scheduled very large maintenance and inspection cycle required based on the calendar timeline for both of our aircraft, beginning with November 517 Mike Charlie, and then progressing on to 518 Mike Charlie in sequence in order to maintain our operational readiness. We had one aircraft down at each time so that we could remain available throughout the process for treatment and surveillance as needed. By sequencing the maintenance rather than taking both aircraft offline at the same time, we were able to maintain our aerial operation continuity and continue to provide service. I'm pleased to report that the scheduled maintenance and inspection work for 518 Mike Charlie has now been completed, so both aircraft are back to have been returned to service and back in action. With the completion of this work, we now have a significant amount of time till a major inspection to that extent occurs. So I appreciate the board's support and patience throughout the extended maintenance cycle, but these inspections are critical, of course, to maintaining our safety, reliability of the aircraft, long-term asset stewardship, so that we can continue our very strong and robust program. Board sub-districting public information update. Commissioner Abbott had asked a couple of board meetings ago now, and I did not have it on my report for last month, and I apologize for that, but approximately two months ago, we did get that information on the website. So as a reminder, the districts, since the district's establishment in 1951, our 3 elected Board of Commissioner seats have historically been elected at large, meaning each commissioner represented the entire jurisdiction for which we had at that time, and all eligible voters throughout that jurisdiction could participate in all of the district's prior elections. As a result of legislation adopted within the last year, the new structure was created, transitioning away from that at-large election structure to a geographic sub-district model. Under that legislation, the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners was responsible for establishing the sub-district boundaries and dividing the district into 3 geographic sub-areas representing eastern, central, and western Pasco County. So about 2 months ago, in preparation for the upcoming election cycle this November, and consistent with the direction provided from the board, we did publish the information on the district's website, including the adopted sub-district map from the BOCC with explanatory material intended to help educate residents on the change. As a reminder for voters out there, under the new structure, candidates now must reside within the sub-district for the seat they are seeking. Only voters residing within that sub-district are eligible to vote for that seat, and board seats are no longer elected countywide at large. The first election occurring under this new structure is seat 2, which is which happened to be the next regularly scheduled seat that would be up for election, and of course that's seat 2 for this year on the election, appearing on the November ballot. We already heard from a member in the room today. We do have a candidate in the room who did qualify. From my understanding from the Pasco election site is that we do have 2 qualified candidates. The district's role here limited to implementing the requirements of the legislation and just providing public information so that residents now understand the new structure and how these changes can affect candidate eligibility and of course their voting participation. So I did not formally inform you of that at the last board meeting, and I apologize for that. So that has been up there now.
We've been paying attention to that.
Very good.
Thank you. Clarification.
All right,
Does
next.
it, I haven't looked recently, is it clear on PascoVotes.com now?
I am not certain what the
Is it
supervisor
clear
of
on
elections site
Pasco
looks
Votes?
like.
It is? Okay, all right.
I know it's on the VOCC page, as well as ours. So.
Yeah, it certainly costs the elections office some money to go to the, well, it'll cost them money, obviously. This whole thing cost them a lot of money, a lot of wasted time to do this, but it will put the precincts, trying to determine which ballots go to which precincts and increase the ballot styles that we have at the elections office. But I guess one individual thought this was something that was good for somebody. I never heard anybody from the public that thought this is what they wanted, but here we are, and we're going forward with it. So it does create new opportunities for some. Thank you.
We have a great supervisor of elections. So
We do.
There's no question that he'll handle it, and his staff will handle it perfectly.
Oh, yeah, we'll get it done.
All right, next item, FTX inspection update. Commissioner Abbott asked at our last board meeting if we had received an update, and coincidentally, 2 weeks after our board meeting, we did receive a formal follow-up regarding the FTX inspection. Actually, during our board meeting, Director of Operations McFall reached out to Dax asking, for an update because we had not heard anything since the October initiation of the investigation. Now, this is in regard to the FTX inspection that occurred following a resident complaint submitted to the department in the fall of 2025, alleging that the district was conducting ULV applications improperly. FTX completed its review and issued the district an administrative warning related to failure to follow label directions associated with one treatment event. Specifically, DAX identified that on September 23rd, 2025, the district conducted a ULV application using truck 87, applying Remoa Tri, which is a product that we use in the annual calibration document of droplet spectrum for that unit initially provided during the inspection reflected a calibration date of September 19th, 2024. placing the application 2 business days outside of the annual interval defined on the product label. As the board may recall, during that time, the district was in the middle of transitioning our entire ULV fleet to the new electric spray platform. Truck 87 had already been scheduled for conversion and removal from service, and the work was scheduled to occur and actually began the following day after the application in question on September 24th, 2025. Importantly, I want to note that this is not a finding that the applications were unsafe, ineffective, improperly dosed, or conducted outside approved treatment parameters. The issue identified was related specifically to equipment testing documentation and confirmation intervals. Following receipt of that administrative warning, we began conducting internal review of other historical records associated with this particular unit and that truck, as the documentation requested by the department does not represent the entire picture of all of the service for the unit. As part of the review, we identified that the district's operational practices include additional records that are not part of that. The initial request was specifically for our droplet characterization. So, for context, district operations routinely include equipment monitoring, we have maintenance protocols in place, we have SOPs, and those SOPs require system check performance reviews during servicing activities for any issue that the truck or the spray unit has throughout the entire year. Our operational period does not run for, only what we consider our peak season. We, in Central Florida, we operate year-round. We have identified that there are multiple service events involving this unit during that time frame in question, and are evaluating our records to determine whether our records associated with those activities can provide additional documentation that would be relevant to further review from the department. To be clear, I'm not making any conclusion at this time regarding whether those records might satisfy the requirement from DAX. However, I think it's important to note that because administrative warnings can become part of historical compliance records and could influence future enforcement considerations, I think it's appropriate to conduct a more complete internal review before determining whether the district should formally accept the warning as issued or provide supplemental documentation for consideration. So at this time, we are focused, of course, on ensuring that we fully understand the records that we do have available that could provide a more complete understanding of all of the flow rate and calibration aspects of each particular spray unit to determine what our next steps are going to be. Regardless of the outcomes, we have already reviewed the internal processes that we have in place, and we've reinforced calibration tracking, documentation controls. Formally, we have every application that happens. The next morning, we're verifying the records that went out based on the amount of acreage covered, the amount of product used, the amount of fuel of the equipment, the truck used, to verify that it's within those appropriate flow rates based on the label language. And so we've already moved that to an electronic process that has assurances in place, alerts, et cetera, that would be more consistent and aligned better with regulatory requirements moving forward. So regardless of what we decide to do in response to this action, we've already taken that step internally to improve our processes. So that, in the interest of providing all of the information in response to it, that's where we are. So if you have further questions, of course, happy to take them, or any input that you would like to share before we just can move forward and continue our internal review.
I'll make a comment that the intent of the law that we need to comply with is to protect the public safety, right? To make sure that the applications that are being put out there are within the requirements of the product subsequently, most importantly, protecting the public's safety. The innuendo is that, you know, somehow, because this thing was outside of 2 days, 2 business days, that the public was at risk. And that's just not true. That is absolutely not true. The fact of the matter is that every time that piece of equipment is utilized, the next day they examine the flow rates to make sure that the product was used accordingly, that they didn't put out too much, and also they didn't put out too little. And in conversations with CJ, he actually pointed out that if the equipment is outside of the parameters where it would put out too much product, it actually shuts itself down. So, you know, the fact of the matter is, this is it's a 2-day issue that it's ridiculous because the equipment is verified every time it's used. So in my mind, every time it's used, if it's done according to the specs, then that ought to reset the 1-year clock, because they look at it every time it's used. So, you know, continue on with determining to make sure that, you know, if we need to learn from this, we do learn from it. But from what I have examined, I'm perfectly content that this piece of equipment was functioning properly the whole time. Because if it wasn't, they'd have known about, they would know about it right away, and they corrected it. Anything else?
Not on that.
Okay. Move
Other
on.
items, yes.
Yeah.
All right, here you have the service requests received by month for 2025 and 2026. The blue line representing this current year. So you can see we are seasonally very close to what we had this time last year. This is the month in particular for the areas in which the service requests have come in. We have also the total number of requests from 2025 at 117 for the month of May, 2026, 119 for the month of May. So again, we're seasonally right about where we were last year and what to be expected. Public records requests, we have total year-to-date at 62. Tires collected, total tires 6,161, with the approximate weight of 184,830 pounds. That, I apologize for the typo, that's not $0. Additionally, we have, actually before I wasn't gonna do it in this order, but you already saw the picture.
The big kahuna first.
And he happens to be sitting in the room, so I'm not gonna just breeze through that. We'll move on to our staff anniversaries. So I think it is important that we continue to share this information. We have this past month our Director of Aerial Operations, Wayne Daniels, celebrating 24 years of dedicated service and commitment to the residents of Pasco County and to the Pasco County Mosquito Control, which is just an incredible achievement, and we appreciate
Wayne. And
everything.
Thank you.
All of your hard work and all of the many multidisciplinary activities you do for the district every day. In addition to that, we have another couple of major milestones. CJ McCutcheon, our Fleet and Facilities Manager, has been with the district for 15 years, and then we have Kyle Rowett at 13 years, so another significant milestone years, an incredible amount of time dedicated to service.
I'm just surprised they left ZZ Top to work for us.
I was gonna say, did it take them 15 years to grow that beard?
Additionally, we have Jim Shea and Taylor Taylor. Jim just celebrated 9 years working for the district, and Taylor is at 7 years working with us. We have 3 individuals who are just celebrating a year of service, and while we have photos internally, they're not available for public consumption. So we have several individuals who are just reaching a year, Alan Monroe being one of our daytime mosquito techs, then we have David and Joan as our seasonal part-time ULV staff. Additionally, we have had a handful of travel opportunities over the last month. We've had several staff participated in the Florida Association of Special Districts annual conference this past week as part of our continued investment in professional development and organizational excellence, along with the annual conference for our insurance company, PRM. Conference, as you all know, always provide valuable continuing education and training opportunities for our staff across a number of areas directly relevant to district operations and governance, including administrative best practices, emerging trends affecting special districts, for this one in particular, economic outlook and forecasting, legislative updates and recent changes in law, leadership development, accounting, financial management practices, strategic planning. These are all highlights from the last week of training, the 2 training opportunities. Participation in these types of programs help to ensure that the district remains current on evolving requirements, helps to strengthen our administrative capacity, and continue to implement best management practices for the industries that we fall under and support effective and accountable public service. Additionally, while at the Florida Association of Special District Conference last week, the district was recognized as the 2nd special district feature in Capital City Bank's statewide educational outreach initiative, which focused on increasing public awareness and understanding of the important role that special districts play in servicing Florida's communities. We were honored to be selected for this spotlight opportunity and appreciate the recognition of the work our team performs every day to protect public health and provide essential services to our residents. And I want to express appreciation to Kevin Strickland with the Capital City Bank team for their efforts in helping to ensure that the education on what the value and the impact of special districts is occurring to the residents. So I applaud their efforts in this initiative to inform that mosquito control is a core service and important infrastructure in the state of Florida, and in reminding residents that the mosquito control efforts in Florida, without it, life in Florida would be unbearable. So just want to applaud their efforts and thank the team there at Capital City Bank for that recognition. Additionally, since our last meeting, I attended and presented at the annual meeting for the Regional Mosquito Control Program Directors that the Department of Agriculture puts on, the regional roundtable, sharing recent challenges, seasonal trends, our important work with the Pasco One Health organization, having the opportunity to have also, since our last meeting, work with Citrus County in starting their own One Health initiative. They're locally modeled after the work that we're doing here in Pasco County, so I was very proud to help get their initiative off the ground and get that underway. Also spoke about the importance of the right messaging to spread awareness for the essential core function mosquito control provides an important infrastructure in the state of Florida. Additionally, we have community feedback and recognition of individual staff members. I'd like to take a few minutes to provide the feedback that we've received since over last 2 months. Part of our normal operation, we receive calls, emails, messages on social media, direct outreach from residents. While a lot of the work that happens behind the scene that we do here, and it often only gets noticed when mosquito populations increase, I think it's equally important to make sure that we take time to recognize the members of the public that take time out of their busy lives to tell us about when things are going well here. So I'd like to to highlight that for you all to see. So this is from the last 2 months, includes kudos that we've received, highlighting different staff responses over that time. We have one received from the general public from our inspector, Mike Cenciani. I wanted to say what a nice, polite, and informed employee you have. Mike came out to inspect our property for mosquito problems. I was very impressed with his response time and the informed young man you sent out. Keep up the good work. We had another one, a Google 5-star review, specifically mentioning our mosquito technician, Jake Moore. Jake came to treat my pond and surrounding yards. He was professional, informative, and a true gentleman. Highly recommended. We had another resident provide feedback regarding another technician, Spencer Young, for his quick response to her mosquito problem and all the information that he left her with. She was sorry that she wasn't there to speak with him more. Keep doing that. Revealing the next slide before I'm ready for it. Again, I think I just really like to take the time in these meetings to inform you of the feedback and the comments that are coming in, reflecting the impact that our team is making, and also publicly acknowledge our staff for these individual contributions coming in from our residents, highlighting their service, the education that they provide, and the level of dedication and passion that they bring to their role. Every one of these roles contributes to the high level of service that our residents have come to expect from us. So I appreciate their efforts, and I am incredibly proud of the team and the efforts that they put in every single day. So please help in join me in recognizing not only these highlights, the kudos that we received, but the continued professionalism and commitment of our team, but also the years of service that they celebrated in the last month as well. Continuing on the topic of community feedback, some specific information and comments response we received following our 75th anniversary celebration. So I'll read off some of that feedback. Thank you so much for organizing such a wonderful event. I learned a lot and was truly moved by the hard work and emotional dedication of your team. Another resident wrote, "Thanks so much for the invite. I had a really great time and I learned so much. Kudos on a fabulous event and congratulations on 75 years. Another one came in. It was wonderful to celebrate with you and the mosquito control team at the 75th anniversary event. Everyone did an amazing job coordinating the event. Thank you for inviting our team to come out." And another one still. "Fantastic event. The team is awesome." And a member of the chamber, Greater Pasco Chamber. We were honored to celebrate Pasco County Mosquito Control District's 75th anniversary ribbon cutting in partnership with the East Pasco Chamber, marking an incredible milestone of service and commitment to our community. This celebration was also one of the largest ribbon cuttings to date, bringing together an amazing crowd to recognize 75 years of protecting and serving Pasco County. And that concludes my report. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Questions, comments? All right, hearing none.
No, I have a comment.
Okay.
Yeah. Slow guy out of the gate, huh? That piece on the technicians, the field service guys, I think that's really a great highlight that, when they go out and do their technical jobs in this heat, humidity, and all that they do, the way I look at it, probably 60% of their job is get the job done, get the mosquitoes under control, but 40% of the job is the customer interface. And from my previous years of running the field service organization, that's probably one of the most difficult things, is getting technical people to warm up to the customer and educate the customer. So that's really great that you all have created that well-rounded individual. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's no question about it. So I'll tell you that a friend of mine asked for service on her property, and I just happened to be near her, and her ring camera went off. And she lives sort of remotely, so she immediately looked to see, what the ring camera was picking up, and she goes, "Oh my God, there's somebody on an ATV running around my property. I go, what? Let me see that. I go, that's mosquito control. You asked them to be there. She's like, oh, okay, good. Yeah, no, it's good. All right, community outreach, education. I see Ms. Johnson's not here. Is anybody covering that, or?
Yes.
Sherry?
Ms.
Okay,
Burrows will
all right.
be giving that report.
So we finished the school year and we've jumped right into summer camps. We've completed 3 summer camps to date and we have a full summer booked. We also did an in-house summer camp with a mom and her 5 homeschool kids came to learn more about mosquitoes and mosquito control. Staff participated in the Florida Department of Health's Staff Education Workday in Dade City. They provided a presentation focused on prevention and strategies to educate their clients from a public health nursing perspective. We've also done tours for high school students, specifically of note. There was a young man in a high school learning about Florida history and ran across mosquito control and wanted to learn more. He's also looking into a school project with mosquito fish. So looking forward, we're gearing up for National Mosquito Control Awareness Week, June 21st to the 27th, and we're continuing to educate the community, engage local leaders, and showcase the critical role mosquito control professionals play in protecting public health and environmental health.
Very good report. All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, safety report, Mr. McFall.
We had no accidents or incidents this month, so we're ticking upwards for that.
Thank you, sir.
And we had one class, CJ and a couple of his guys went to it's called the Fleet Essential PPG certification course, so it's a paint course. The paint that we actually get to do all the trucks is made in Orlando, and they invited them to that class, so three of them from Fleet got to go to that class and get certified on
Cool.
how to use the paint, what it's made of, all the basics of what it is, and there's further courses in the future that him and his team want to go to advance the painting side of Fleet.
That's excellent. Good. All right, good report.
Thank you, sir.
Agna, arborvirus.
You can advance the slide. So here are the surveillance results from the past month, all of May, and you can see a comparison to the year 2025 for the same month. Within May, we just had one Department of Health mosquito-borne suspected case to respond to, so that was in May, and since then we have not had any more recent arboviral activity in Pasco County. And all in 2026, Pasco has so far only seen 1 sentinel chicken, but statewide we've seen 8 sentinel chickens positive for West Nile virus, 17 sentinel chickens and 1 horse positive for Eastern equine encephalitis virus, 32 cases of travel dengue, 35 cases of travel chikungunya virus, and 17 cases of travel malaria. And then Miami-Dade is still currently under a mosquito-borne illness alert, and that is all.
Questions?
I have a question about that. When you look at places like Dixie and Levy County and these very rural counties, which tell me that virtually have limited or almost no surveillance programs, is there any feedback from them or reporting back about disease, or what? I mean, what happens with these very small underfunded programs?
So a lot of these cases are travel cases that get picked up in hospitals, and then they'll
Okay.
get the blood
So it
test.
comes through the Department of Health
Correct.
versus mosquito control. So after it's too late. Gotcha. Okay.
And those are human-related cases. So what that doesn't capture is any, not every county has a sentinel chicken program to monitor for Eastern equine encephalitis virus, St. Louis encephalitis virus, West Nile virus. And so, there are gaps in the surveillance data for sure across the state of Florida. Because while we have a sentinel chicken program, we have 10 sites throughout the county that we have coops set up, and we're monitoring that data weekly. There are many programs who don't have sentinel chickens at all, so they're not looking for it. There are programs, also the duration of the time that each program that does have a sentinel chicken flock that is out in the field varies as well. So there's not consistency throughout the state of Florida, there are gaps in the surveillance data. Just because you don't see a county represented on that list doesn't mean that's the absence of mosquito-borne activity. That's just the absence of the data because no one's collecting it.
Gotcha.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
if I can just add, I think when you look at the veterinary cases, unless there's, a veterinarian is called in for a horse in a rural community, that may tick and be on the DOH's report because it was reported by the veterinarian. But if they don't seek veterinary care, anything else is a non-reported case. Much like a human who doesn't report and goes to the doctor, it's not a reported case. So they're not doing, it's very limited on how many counties are actually participating in the sentinel chicken program, looking for that and being proactive, looking for transmission viruses.
Gotcha.
That's interesting information.
Is there other states out there that, I mean, the way it works in Florida, it depends on the tax dollars are spent in the area the tax dollars are collected. And all these different mosquito controls across the state. But in other states within the US, is there programs where the state takes on responsibilities at all, or is it all set up similar to Florida?
I don't know if there's ones where the state takes over all of the arboviral activity. I do know that a lot of states, in response to outbreaks, will start processing the samples that are collected in counties, but usually it's not as well funded as it is in Florida, where all of the counties are able to submit blood samples from the sentinel chickens at the cost of the state.
Yeah, Florida has the most robust arboviral surveillance program of all of the states. There are states that the health department is the only agency that is looking at both human health and mosquito-related concerns. And their resources are limited, of course. The structure is very different from what you see in Florida. And so the capacity that Florida has to do proactive surveillance, to be looking at sentinel chickens before we see disease cases in humans and other animals, particularly with horses, et cetera, is much more robust than most of the states,
Okay.
if not all.
Very good. Thank you.
Okey, thank you for that. Good to the order. Commissioner Evans.
Want to congratulate those who've had so many years of service. Hopefully, Wayne, you'll give us another 24. And I want to shout out to Mike. I was talking to my neighbor in the backyard and started swatting mosquitoes after we were just saying that we hadn't had a real big mosquito problem. So my neighbor said it'd be nice if we knew a mosquito commissioner around here. So I went on and pulled up my phone and put in a work request, and you guys came out, Mike came out. So I wanted to publicly,
This Mike?
No.
They wanted it done right. They did not send me.
I called him.
I thought maybe it was in his district. I
But
didn't
my
know.
new guy, Mike, came out the very next day and took care of us and hopefully minimize the problems that we've had. And I saw on our little report, we had a big circle around where I live, so they're evidently pretty bad. You guys have just come out. I have the alerts on my phone and all that, and the phone calls, and I never heard you guys come out, which is nice considering the way it used to be when you'd hear them for several blocks away. So the new electric ones are very quiet, and I actually had to look on my camera to make sure. It's great. We've really come a long ways, and congratulations to all of you guys for keeping us safe. Thank you.
Nothing? All right, well, I'm good for the good of the order. All right, we have upcoming meetings notated there. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, and have a good rest of your day.
Adrian, I still have all these